Today I'm going to collect each and every trophy in Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart in order to get the Platinum Trophy. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is the latest edition of the Ratchet and Clank franchise and came out in 2021. I've only played one Ratchet and Clank game before, and that was the first Ratchet and Clank game that came out back in 2002 on the PlayStation 2. This game has 47 trophies including Platinum, and according to PSN profiles takes approximately 10 hours to finish. For me it was an absolute lie because it took me well over 18 hours to finish the game. Most of the trophies you can get while playing the main story of the game, but there are some trophies that I have to grind for to get at the end. The game starts off in a mysterious city, where a Lombax is stealing a spy bot for the Resistance. Before she can leave the city, she sees the civilian being followed by mysterious murder robots. She saves the civilian by destroying the robot. This is the first time we meet Rivet. Then the scene switches to Ratchet and Clank attending some kind of hero celebration day. Clank is telling Ratchet that he has a gift that he will give at the end of the ceremony. I pick up my first weapon, the burst pistol, and kill my first enemies, the goons. Clank reveals that he made a Dimensionator for Ratchet, so he can travel through dimensions and find his family. But before Ratchet was even able to touch it, it was then stolen by Dr. Nefarious. Dr. Nefarious then uses the Dimensionator to open up a rift. Ratchet and Clank go after Dr. Nefarious to get the device back. Ratchet destroys the Dimensionator, which makes it uncontrollable, and rifts are opening up out of nowhere. I then have to defeat Nefarious and his ship, but just before he gets destroyed, he opens up a portal to a dimension where he always wins. I then travel to multiple dimensions and eventually Ratchet and Clank get split up. This is also where I get my first trophy of the game called Rift Apart. The dimension we are in now is the dimension we saw earlier with the other Lombax. Clank is picked up by Rivet, while Ratchet is going on by himself to find Clank. I instantly go off the main mission and explore around the city. After defeating some robots, I get my first spy bot of the game, which gives me a trophy. There are 10 of these spy bots in the game and I have to collect all of them in order to get the Rhino, which is also a trophy. I will get that later in the game. I then got a trophy for entering a hidden pocket dimension. These dimensions usually give some sort of collectible in the game. Before I explored the hidden dimension, I checked out my armor. I got a trophy for equipping head, torso and leg armor. While in this dimension, I also got a trophy for bouncing on 3 floatable balloons. At the end of the dimensional rift, I got a trophy for acquiring a piece of armor. After this, I did some more side missions and found my first gold bolt of the game. These bolts can be used for unlocking rewards. I then went on with the main mission of the game, going after Nefarious. After destroying some weird robots, I had to defeat a Nefarious Juggernaut, which is basically a boss in the game. I used my cute little tech robot called Glitch to open up the door. We make our way up to the headquarters of Dr. Nefarious and are almost able to end this game early. But then we get swarmed by enemies and we have to flee the planet. Then the controls swap and I get to play as Rivet. Rivet and Clank are on the way to Rivet's home planet Sargasso. Suddenly they get a distress call from the villagers and they get shot out of the sky. This is the first time I meet a creature called Speedle. It's basically a really quick snail that takes us to the main part of the planet. I shoot up some goons and get my weapon to level 5. This gives me a trophy called They Blow Up So Fast. Some of the local villagers got stuck in some kind of dimensional anomaly, and it's Clank's job to get them out of there. I get a trophy for solving 3-dimensional puzzles, where I have to put spheres in the correct place in order to fill up the portal with Clank AIs, which ultimately leads to the anomaly dissolving and saving the villagers. I then have to destroy this massive robot called the Seekapede. This robot is terrorizing the planet. I have to use the Speedle to get on the back of the robot. When the robot is destroyed, a trophy popped up. I then went back to Mrs. Zircon, where you can buy and upgrade your weapons. A trophy popped up when I completely upgraded my blast pistol. On the planet of the Zerkies, I find my first Grega bear. There are a ton of these in the game and I have to find all 10 of them. But I got a trophy for finding my first one as well. I then got in some kind of bar where I can apply for Battleplex challenges, which is basically fighting different kind of enemies for money. I get a trophy for putting on 3 numbers on the jukebox inside the bar. In our first Battleplex challenge, I have to defeat Pierre the pirate and his crew. I get a trophy for killing 2 enemies with a single ricochet round. After 4 rounds of fighting, I get a trophy for completing a Battleplex challenge. The pirate gives us a part which Clank can use to contact Ratchet on the radio. As Ratchet, I go to planet Zavali in order to find the Prophet Gary. He knows how to build a Dimensionator and sends us to the Interdimensional Archives. After saving the town, we meet up with Kid, who's basically Clank but from another dimension. She gives me hoofle boots, which give me power to slide and jump across wide gaps. I get a trophy for doing a trick jump while going at max speed. Yes, I did die straight after that, but I did get a trophy. At a random spot on the map, I find Nefarious citizens sitting by a hot spring. I got a trophy when I got nearby. After that, I got a trophy for collecting 3 Lorbs that I can find at shrines that only Lombaxes can open. What a coincidence. After finding these 3 Lorbs, the trophy popped up. I then went to do some more shopping at Mrs. Zircon, and that's when I got a trophy for buying enough weapons and filling up my weapon wheel. After completing a time trial to enter the archives, I got a trophy for reaching it. When I finally retrieved the dimensional map, I found a world that has rare phase quartz that I can use to rebuild the Dimensionator. I then switched back to Rivet again, where I fight a bunch of monsters on a new planet. When I deployed 3 fungi on the ground, a trophy popped up. I've deployed 50 fungi during the game already. On this planet I also meet a chef called Tulio, who wants to make his famous honey. In order to do that, I have to hold off different waves of enemies. When the honey is complete, a trophy pops up for completing the challenge. The game then leads me to this massive drill that I have to use in order to get some phase quartz. The drill almost destroys the planet, but I quickly use my hammer to get the quartz out. I used one of the enemy's dropship to destroy the drill, but sadly that also destroys the quartz into pieces. So now I have to get that fixed as well. On the next planet I found my 5th gold bolt, which gave me a trophy. I also got a trophy for defeating 30 enemies while they are turned in some kind of flower. I don't really know what it is, but it works really well against enemies. After finding the Fixer, a massive robot, he turns in some kind of maniac because he is mad that nothing can be fixed. He tries to destroy everything and everyone, and we have to escape him. When he finally caught us, Clank told him he's already fixed, even without an arm. The Fixer then believes that not everything has to be fixed and turns into a good guy again. I guess he's my friend now because he fixed the phase quartz. I got a trophy for completing this mission. I then go as Ratchet to a planet where I can make this Dimensionator. This planet is mostly underwater and there's a weird dog-like creature on the loose. As we try to build the device with the Rubian Forge, Ratchet presses the wrong button and the forge gets destroyed. In order to make the device, I have to use the Blizon crystal to use the forge in the other dimension. This is also the dimension where the monster is on the loose. As I try to power up the forge, I need to dodge attack from the monster. As I reach the power source, I find out the power source is actually the monster. When I freed the monster, he was now fighting on my side. At the end, the 2 monsters from both dimensions met up and became best friends. I got a trophy for freeing them. These monsters powered the Rubian Forge for me, and that's how I made the Dimensionator. In the next moment, Ratchet and Kid finally get to meet up with Ratchet and Clank, and they all became best friends. Sadly, the Dimensionator got stolen shortly after that. Rivet was able to defeat Dr. Nefarious, but Emperor Nefarious was here to take the device and the Doctor with him. I went as Ratchet and Clank to the pirate base, where I had to find Captain Quantum before the Emperor does. But first I had to save Pirate Pierre, who was about to get eaten by a kraken for blowing up his own ship early in the game. Pierre tells me I have to complete the pirate trials in order to get in contact with Captain Quantum. So I did a bunch of levels where to prove I was worthy to become a pirate. The captain turns out to be a big fraud and is actually just a quirk, but at the end he does save me from an exploding boat. I got a trophy for feeding the kraken at the end of the fight. The planet Sargasso was now under attack by the Emperor's troops. After I bought a new gun called Headhunter, I got a trophy for delivering 10 headshots with that weapon. In order to destroy the mothership, I had to fly on Trudy and drop bombs on all the ships. One of the ships then lands on the mothership, which makes it explode. I got a trophy for sinking the mothership. I then head back to Zavali to retrieve the dimensional map before the Emperor does. And of course, after retrieving it, the Emperor was right behind us to steal the map out of our hands. I got a trophy for retrieving the dimensional map, even if it was only for a second. Ratchet and Clank are then sent to prison, and we find out that Kid is actually the one who destroyed Rivet's arm a couple of years ago. I guess that friendship is not gonna last. As I was going to the prison planet to save Ratchet and Clank, I got a trophy for doing 5 trick jumps on a grind trail. I must have done the other 4 earlier in the game because I only did 1 jump trick, but I got a trophy for it. After a long chase and fighting multiple robots, I broke Ratchet and Clank out of prison and I also got a trophy for that. I now had the option to fight Doctor and Emperor Nefarious, but I wasn't sure I could do the collectible trophies after that, so went back to the other planets to get multiple trophies. One trophy I got was completing a gold Battleplex challenge, which was kinda easy because I've upgraded all my weapons to the max at this point. The trophy popped up when I finished the challenge. I also got a trophy for collecting 10 Zerb stones and feeding them to Trudy. That was the bird we flew on earlier. I got a trophy for turning on the TV in Rivet's hideout and a trophy for defeating 5 enemies while frozen with my cold snap. I also got a trophy for killing 5 Grunthars in the game. This last one wasn't even trying to fight me. I then went back to the planets to find all these Gregor bears. These bears were shattered around the planets, and once I've got the 10th one, the trophy popped up. In order to get the next trophy, I had to collect all the spybots in the game. After finding the last spybot, I went back to Mrs. Zircon to buy a weapon called Rhino. The trophy popped up when I had the weapon in my inventory. Then it was finally time for the last mission of the game. Defeat Doctor and Emperor Nefarious. This fight had 2 different stages. First I had to destroy the Imperial suit by destroying these TV monitors and shoot at the robot's head. After completing the first stage, I had to fight one-on-one against the Emperor himself. When I defeated the Emperor, the trophy popped up. The Dimensionator was finally in my hands and I used it to get rid of all the rifts and make every dimension normal again. I still had a couple of trophies left to do, so I went back to the pirate planet to do one more glitch mission. After destroying the last viruses on the computer, the trophy popped up. I completed all the glitch challenges. Then I went to start another game file, but this time in challenge mode. After I bought 2 weapons for $1 each, the trophy popped up for purchasing all the weapons in the game. I also had to go back to Blizzard and Cordelion in order to hit all the crystals on these maps. There are 30 crystals, but the trophy popped up after hitting 29 of them. Then I got a trophy for defeating 30 ejected Nefarious trooper heads, which is basically based on luck because not all of these robots eject their heads after they get destroyed. After replaying the same mission a couple of times, the trophy popped up. The last trophy I had to get was kind of a grind. I had to level up my Void reactor weapon to a level 5 in order to return shots to enemies. After doing so, I had to hold my shield up and absorb some of these shots. After the shield turns purple, I could shoot the projectiles back at the enemies. After a while, I was sure I was doing something wrong because no matter how many enemies I killed, the trophy didn't pop up. Eventually, after an hour of grinding this trophy, it finally popped up when I destroyed this Nefarious trooper. The platinum trophy popped up right after that, which means I completely finished the game. If you want to see more of these videos, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. If you have some good recommendations on what games to shoot platinum next, please leave a comment down below. Thank you guys for watching and I hope to see you next time.